For 15 years, he's like, God, shut up about Armored Core.
I don't want to take anyone's blessings raw.
The Coral's calling the shots now, Randy.
The ship's approaching Rubicon. Wake up the dogs.
Establishing cerebral coral connection. Link verified.
Hey there, pilots. This is NoisyRen, transmitting the Rubicon Dogs podcast from somewhere out among the stars, bringing you all the Armored Core data you need to survive the battlefield. Let's get to it.
Welcome in, everyone, for episode 9, coming up on those double digits. Joining us today is going to be Blackout, a new guest to the podcast, who works primarily with Armored Core fanfiction, so something way different than our previous guests. And then we also have returning guest Bottleofrumster, who you might remember works a lot in the PvP scene, emblem building, things of that nature. You've probably seen both of them around. And of course, we haven't had a whole lot of new news yet. Though I have to imagine From Software and Bandai release something coming up. I feel like the hype train's dying a little bit. So got to get everybody really excited and hyped for the actual release. And we are just over a month out from this thing. So I imagine we'll get into all kinds of tangents. This episode's really just us chatting about, AC and fanfiction and the community and just a little bit of everything. So no real specific topics for today. But I hope you enjoy. So with that being said, I'll let you guys introduce yourselves. Rum, you want to go first?
Hey guys, I'm Rumster, Bottleofrumster. I got a YouTube channel, Bottleofrumster, for mainly 5th gen stuff, and then we'll roll into Armored Core 6th gen. But I'm mainly a PvP dude. I do recordings of emblems, and I'm involved in the community and helping people set up PvP emulation on RPCS3. And we've been starting to get into modding on the PC version of 5th gen. And yeah, it's basically about me.
Hello, I'm Blackout, and I've been playing Armored Core games since about 2015, 4th gen, 5th gen. And just recently in 2019, I started writing Armored Core fanfiction. So I have one story completed, and I'm currently working on 2 more.
And I will definitely drop the links to those in the show notes so people can check that out. Great. So, Rumster, we'll kind of start on your end of things. So like you said, there have enabled modding as well as multiplayer, right, for RPC S3, which is nice. It's usually just been on the Xbox emulator up until now for 5th gen.
Yeah, and the Xbox could never do PvP. Only RPCS3 could do PvP to simulate like a local connection or something. I'm not exactly sure 100% why RPCS is able to and not the Xena. But yeah, the big hurdle for 5th gen emulation on RPCS3, which already had working PvP, we tested it before, but it was at like 3 FPS, totally unplayable. And it had a bunch of other glitches and like no textures missing on ACs and whatnot. And thanks to some hardworking, passionate people in the Armored Core Discord, they kind of ironed all that stuff out. And RPCS3, it's very hardware dependent, mainly on your CPU. So you got to have a pretty hefty CPU to run it well. But completely 100% playable at 30 FPS almost everywhere. There's only like a couple areas of the whole game that will dip to 22 FPS or something, but still 100% totally playable. And they got PvP working, because PvP had even lower FPS than everything else. So thanks to, some of these community members' real hard work, emulation PvP for 5th gen is a thing now, and we've been playing it a lot. And there's another guy that was helping decode a lot of the Armored Core 4 answer stuff, and I don't want to put anyone's name out there in case they don't want me to, but he has been helping us in 5th gen try to figure out how to mod stuff, and he creates programs to like decompile stuff and recompile all the FromSoft files. So the first thing we got into doing, and we say we, but it's actually them, not so much me. I'm just like there talking to them and seeing all this unravel in real time.
Oh yeah. I have
But
zero clue how any of that functions.
but so for a decade on Armored Core Verdict Day, we've been stuck with like the same 7 maps in free battle, even though there's like, I don't know, 60, 70 maps in the online mode conquest that rotate depending on like where the online virtual war progresses. And the community has been so small that like that almost never progresses, so you're stuck with like the same 5 maps in that too, even though there's like 60, 70 maps.
Yeah.
So the first thing we did was start swapping out the maps in free battle, and so we could play all these maps that people haven't seen in 8-9 years. And already in the community they got like a whole map pack that you just download and you swap out, and you just coordinate on Discord so you can play the same maps as everyone else, because you could actually start it up if you have different maps loaded, and even though you see the other player in the game, they see a whole different map, so you see people
geez.
flying through walls and whatnot. It's pretty crazy.
That's
That's
interesting.
But even crazier is, I don't know if you know how Verdict Day and 5th Gen, they have world bosses in the conquest mode.
Yeah,
Like
those are exciting.
You could fight Mother Will or Exusia or Black Glint or whatever, and you could actually put those maps in the PvP, and the boss is there fucking you up while everyone's fighting.
Wait, so it's literally a 4v4 with a boss that's against everyone?
Yeah, or free for all. So it's just total chaos. Like we were playing.
That is awesome.
We were playing on Motherworld the other day, and we're just racing basically to try to get to Motherworld so we don't get messed up before we even get over to there. And like one guy got clipped off on the way in, and then we're all just zooming around Motherworld's legs trying to dodge all the missiles and whatnot, while we're also trying to like trip up each other.
PvP hard mode.
Yeah, dude, it's so much fun. It's really exciting. And like, if anyone listening wants to join, you need files from the Discord. 1, to even make it run, and 2, to do the maps and everything. You need to get those from Discord, and 3, you need to be able to coordinate with the people you're playing with so that you're on the same maps. Like, it almost kind of broke anyone just trying to casually do it and hop in without coordinating, because you need to have the same maps as everyone else. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. So anyone listening, join the Armored Core Discord and then go to 5th Gen, get that set up if you want to, But that's kind of the
awesome
state of emulation right now for 5th Gen.
That's pretty amazing. I have a question for you, Rom, then. You said that they were doing modding. Is that just limited to basically inventing new game modes with the way that you're saying that? Or are you trying to maybe change the files and add new content?
Every day, the guys that are working hard on this are finding something new. And it's not like an organized file structure, and stuff isn't named properly. And when you open the file, everything's in Japanese. So it's not so straightforward, but like they're making progress on figuring out. It's like a hex editor for this one thing they're trying to do, which is remove the kind of grainy look of Armored Core Verdict Day.
Oh, that would be amazing.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, that's like one of everyone's complaints, right? So they're kind of hunting around to find stuff for quality of life upgrades right now. Like, they're making progress on removing the grainy film. They also found out how to remove that like blue tint when you're in scan mode. They're trying to find that really obnoxious. Every time you swap in and out of scan mode, it's like scan mode, combat mode, scan mode, combat.
Oh yeah, we can drop that audio off.
They're trying to drop that off. They're trying to find out how to stop free battle being limited to 7 maps, because then we wouldn't have to swap map packs. We could just put them all in there. And a few other things. So it right now, it's just quality of life and more content is what everyone's focused on. All the 5th Gen guys, they don't really want the game itself to be modified too much, like as far as like buffing weapons or adding new stuff or anything like that. But we all want to see those quality of life upgrades. We all want more maps in free battle. Eventually, if we find the files, I want to get involved to try to beef up the single player mode, like enemy ACs, or add more enemies, or even teammates. I want to see like a really chaotic whole bunch of ACs, like like a battle almost. Is what I want to see.
Yeah, that'd be super cool.
but like, because they already have Unax in the game, and if you don't know what Unax is, it's like here's the Dark Souls comparison, the tier, or mimic tier, or whatever it's called, where like you create your own little buddy with your build and you play however you want it to play. But like you program them so that you could have this guy try to keep a certain range from an enemy, or move a certain way, or pull out certain weapons and attack in a certain way. You could tell them how often to boost, how often to jump, when to boost, when to dodge a missile, and what direction. It gets super in depth, and you can make them play like 8 million times better than anything you see in story mode. And if you were able to, make all the story mode Unax made by a thinking human instead of whatever monkey they had programming them, then it would actually be a pretty challenging, fun story,
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's what I would like to do to make it feel more updated and fresh. Because some of those enemy ACs, especially like the early ones, they just kind of float at you, and they don't really move.
Yeah. There's all kinds of videos where like you just like dash forward with a blade or a pile and just boop.
I know the exact one
him.
you're talking about. That's that guy with the weapon arms, the visible blades.
That's
He's
the
got
one.
the vendettas. I forget his name. Oh, Gambit. His name's Gambit. Yeah, he's the meme of all the fights.
My way for beating both 5 and Verdict Day for those is just a tetrapod sniper build. So when I fight Gambit, I just one button, hold it down.
You don't even got to move,
just fire.
right?
Fire 3 shots and he's dead. Yeah.
Yep.
See, I'm a piler. I only use like 4 heat pile drivers, mainly just use melee. And that one I just boost forward and pile and fucking delete them in 2 seconds. My ammo cost is 20, so that's like the early game credit farm until you get to the boss.
Yeah. No, that'd be awesome to be able to step all that up. And I've never really gotten into the modding community on any game. But I think that's the direction I would want to see it go, is more like quality of life stuff. Usually, unless the base game's like terrible, that I tend to stick to what's kind of true to the game.
Yeah, no, that's how we are in 5th gen too. Like everyone that is not a 5th genner is like, Verdict Day would be great if they changed this or that or whatever. But like all the guys who've been playing for 10 years, we're all like, this game is perfect in every way. There's no error. And we hope that
quality of life things.
We hope that 6th gen is just an upscaled version of the same game. But definitely not a popular opinion. But on that note, like we see it as an opportunity to make the game a little more accessible and a little more enjoyable for more people now that emulation's a thing. So like my buddy Selt has made a video that has a great tutorial of how to set up RPCS for PvP, and the link is on the Discord as well. And then so we're all trying to get more people playing this game and enjoying this game with us, so we could try to keep up the momentum here. But and I got like 3 tutorial videos for advanced movement and intricate, how to use ultimate weapons and all kinds of hidden mechanics that the game doesn't tell you about.
Yeah, you do. It's good stuff. Yeah, very straight to the point and easy to follow.
Thank you. Yeah, and we've seen a lot more newer players that are paying attention to the tutorials and looking at the community write-up that has like pages and pages and pages of extremely detailed, broken down information on basically every topic you could think of. 5th gen dudes are passionate.
they really are. It's true. A minority for sure, but but they're very passionate about 5th gen.
I think it's just incredible. Like that game is 10 years old. And now it only seems like it's getting more popular.
Oh yeah. And you know what the thing about it? For answer 2, right? The thing about why there's so many people that are like super into 5th gen and 4th gen and have been playing for a decade plus is because it has pretty good PvP. It's really enjoyable, and everyone knows each other, and everyone, it's really competitive. Everyone has a great time, but they're always trying to get better because there's such a high skill ceiling in Armored Core PvP, because movement is just so perfect. There's so much you could do with it, but it's like just clunky enough where you can't just walk in and like know what you're doing off the bat. You have to really adjust to Armored Core.
I'm pretty terrible at that, and I know when I did some competition matches a couple years ago, I was very terrible. I got one lucky kill, and it was really sad because it's like that guy just kind of stumbled into a pile driver. And it's like, I guess I won.
Hey, you got a pile driver competition? What gen?
5th gen.
Oh, nice. Yeah, dude, piles are so satisfying. Like they're one-hit kill weapons for the most part. Although definitely not everyone one-hit kill. But like, it's so hard to get that kill. It's just such a rush of dopamine.
It is so hard.
It's such a rush of dopamine once you actually hit someone. You're just like, yeah, you know.
Yeah, there's not much that's more satisfying than catching that like one-hit pile kill on somebody.
Oh yeah, that's why I use them. You know, I mean, guns just. I mean, everyone likes shooting stuff in games. You know, it's fun, but like, it just doesn't give me that rush. You know.
Yeah. But I know it's definitely it was something hard for me to learn was PvP of that game.
Like it, because the movement is like the hardest to master thing, and it's like one of the main things to master aside from knowing how to build your mech and how to take advantage of your weapons. Like the main thing in any armored core is the movement, and you can't even touch melee until you've mastered that. You know.
Oh yeah, that's true. Right. Especially even in 4th gen, even though the movement I think was easier in general and kind of more fluid, but yeah, like learning how to second stage and turn properly, and there's a lot of like intricate things that the game just doesn't tell you about.
The problem with the melee in 4th gen is if you miss, you're suddenly like a mile away from them. And you have to turn around and find them again, get back.
I have legit like overboosted and bladed at somebody, missed, and just shot out of the map. Just choop.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. The pile drivers on 4th gen so hard too. The hitbox is like,
it is.
What, like one frame? It's so hard.
You have to be like literally touching them to.
Oh yeah, yeah. Me and some of my friends were just doing pile driver only matches, and they're going forever, you know. But like so many times as a 5th gen guy, I'm like, oh, I got this guy, he's dead, and then it's like no hit, and I'm like, what the hell, dude? It's so frustrating.
Yeah, I know. I'm hoping the frame stuff is fixed a little bit more in 6th gen. And I'm really
sure
curious.
It will be, just from watching that footage. Melee
it looks really good, especially when he's dodging the blade and he's like right beside it.
Yeah, I think the melee is a big focus of this game.
Yeah,
I feel like it's pushing everyone to use like hybrid builds, and hybrid is like we're using a gun and melee at the same time, and you like.
Yeah, it seems like combination weapons is definitely what they're going for. And then even the new type of weapons where it's twist on some of the old stuff. Like we've seen the spinning laser blade, the lance laser blade, and it's possibly even only an enemy weapon, but there was laser whip, so that might be something to get access to.
Yeah.
I just hope they keep piles still that like real high skill ceiling shit where you got no lock on. And the hitbox is small, just so it can have high damage. Because if they make something too easy to hit, they have to lower the damage output.
Oh, for sure. I do think I'd be okay with like the tiniest bit of lock on, just to like adjust those micro movements when you're right beside them. But yeah, I don't think it should have the like tracking that the blades do, or they'll either have to really lower the damage, or it'll just be people one-shotting with piles right at the beginning of the match.
Oh yeah, well that's my goal. I still want to one-shot people at the beginning of the match, but I want to work for it, you know.
Maybe I should say it'll be everybody one-shotting with piles.
I mean, there's definitely something satisfying about shoving a giant metal telephone pole-sized rod through someone's heart.
Oh yeah,
and just instantly killing them, you know.
Yeah.
That being said, with
someone's heart.
With the adjustments to PvP and how or not to PvP, but to the melee system and how the blades and kicking and stuff work in this one, I could definitely see, even if it gives tracking, if it's not, perfect and you still miss with your pile, you'll just be like murdered and punished, the blade kicked off. I can see it still being that really high risk strategy.
Oh yeah, you still get punished, but it seems like if you're up close to the blade, there's a much higher. It's probably going to be more like dodging a blade in like I don't want to make the comparison, but other games that are medieval blade focused, but like you get close and you got this like hard lock onto someone and you have to you have to time your evasion to miss it correctly because you can't just not be there.
Yeah. So it's kind of terrible. it is a little on topic for that. When I was playing Bloodborne, I used the pile driver there, and basically used it as a blade, as though I was playing Armored Core.
Well, there you go.
Because it's almost the exact same animation, basically, in Bloodborne for using a blade when you're using the pile driver in its default form. That's why.
All you need is a booster.
Yeah.
So here'd be an interesting thought for you, Rum. So they leave the lock on for the pile, and it works like the blade, but it has a really big animation. So you see it in the like trailer, right? So the sides of it like click open, and it pulls back, and there's like a second or two lag. So how about if it still locks on and tracks sort of blade-esque, but you can see it pop open, maybe like some smoke come out or whatever, and then there's a window where you have to release that button and like use it. And so if you see them open up their pile and you can move or get away, maybe that's the safety from that tracking.
Maybe.
I don't know.
It's hard. It's hard to speculate because
it really is.
Anything in a cinematic trailer, it's like
Oh yeah, you gotta take that
overly dramatic for
a massive grain of salt.
Yeah,
it's like up the dramatic factor.
Oh,
it'd be cool to see. Good.
Let's talk about their marketing.
God.
Everyone's talking about it. What they showed us like 4 minutes of footage that was nerfed, so we can't even see the HUD, and then they've been milking it for like ever.
Right.
Not
And then
anything.
Go ahead.
Supposedly they have been playing the trailer in movie theaters, though.
Yeah, that is
I
nice.
actually saw one in a movie too. Actually,
Super
it's nice. I'm not even complaining. I just think it's funny. From Software is going to be From Software. They're just like this, They don't give you much. They just announce stuff. They release stuff at random times, seemingly. I just think it's funny. They do all this. They show up at the Game Awards or whatever, but they're not actually in the Game Awards. They just have a side thing there.
Yeah, they just have like a side booth.
They just want to hang out.
Select people. Yeah, And a buddy of mine from Chang was there, and he's actually in there. Like their re-release footage that's like community members react or whatever, and From Chang's in there. That's cool,
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, that's awesome. I've been chatting with him as well.
It's so funny though. Like they took that little bit of footage, they showed to people in a room, then they nerf it down and they cut it to 4 minutes. They take out the HUD, they show it to the world, and then they show it to us like 8 million times, and then finally we get something new, but it's just people's reaction to it. And it's like, bro, we've been seeing people react to this footage for months now.
and then just to top it off, they actually published the footage that everyone else got already, just officially on their own.
I know. So we've already, oh sweet, we got some new, and then we like, oh, I've seen this like 80 times.
So while we're on that one, what is with the different audio quality? Because the one that they published, of course, has fantastic audio, but the one that they handed out to everybody,
no, it's just From Trough trolling.
Yeah,
I guess so.
I guess for whatever reason the songs are classified. Maybe they got an NDA.
Yeah, maybe that's
artist.
That actually makes a lot of sense. They probably got the license for it, so they probably had to degrade it. That makes sense actually. But it's kind of weird because like maybe that music's going to be in the game and they're just going to give it to everyone. But
I said that as a joke.
no, that does actually that checks. I think
that actually might be why. But what was I going to say? Oh yeah, the only thing that annoys me is like ever since like the first interview, they keep like touching on multiplayer and they keep saying, we'll talk more about that at a later date. And like here we are a month before the release, and I'm like, it's a later date now. Tell me, feed me.
I mean, worst case scenario, it's just gonna be a free DLC, like maybe 6 months from after release.
It better be there on release. I only play Armored Core for the PvP, and I know that's maybe an unpopular opinion, but I know there's a lot of other people like me that are like, give me that PvP. And it has to be in the game anyway, because they said they're going to have emblem trading, right? And where are you going to show off your emblem other than PvP? What, you're just going to make a custom emblem for story mode? I mean, I know people will do that, but the thing about emblems is like they're hard to make because FromSoft gives you these kind of jank tools, but you can make pretty crazy stuff that looks really cool with those tools, but it's so hard to make that when you see someone that's made like a really good emblem, you're like, damn, That's badass.
Right.
They made that. This is incredible. And as opposed to just being able to like upload an image, all of a sudden no one cares about what your emblem is, at all.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if it's hard to make, you could show it off, and you want a place to show it off, and the only place to do that's PvP or mercenary co-op, which they're not going to have. So they have to have PvP, and I know they said that they're going to have like an arena, and
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
we've
sure
done
they're
that.
going to, but it's like I want those freaking details, and it looks like their
Something.
later date is going to be the release.
A later date.
Like the day before release, we'll get like an extra final trailer, and we'll see
Oh my god!
all the extra stuff that we'd want.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
very
that'll be
FromSoft
it.
of them.
It is. So emblem-wise, is there anything that you want to see in the editor? Are you hoping it's... I mean, I hope it's at least akin to 5th gen, preferably a little bit better. But, there's things like there's asymmetrical decals that I wish you could mirror. It'd be cool if you could maybe like erase stuff or transparent things a little bit easier.
Well, each generation, they've made pretty significant changes to the emblem maker. 5th gen obviously being the best. It always gets better,
Yeah.
And I really like 5th gen's creator because like there's not too much of a limit to what you can make. I mean, I don't know if you guys can see my little profile picture on there, but that's an emblem I made of white glint in 5th gen.
Mhm.
And you can make some pretty crazy stuff in 5th gen. I do feel like sometimes it lacks enough layers. It's got like 128 layers or something like that. And like I could definitely use some more layers. I could use a
Yeah.
few more shapes, and maybe one additional way to warp and distort shapes, But I'd be happy with that, And I don't think they're going to make too crazy changes anyway, so it's probably going to be something around like that. I don't think they're going to make it like Photoshop or anything.
Yeah, I don't think they'll make it like Photoshop. I don't think they'll let you like import images into it. At least I hope not. Like you said, that's half of the fun is being able to create these really cool emblems in a limited, setting to do so.
Yeah, and I think they're going to kind of keep that because they mentioned that they really wanted to implement emblem trading because the community
Yeah.
loved it. That's like the one area where they listen to the community. FromSoft doesn't like to listen to communities. They make their own changes. They make their own balance patches that sometimes make no sense. But I respect it. They're not a pushover, and they don't hear
That's
everyone
true.
crying about one weapon being OP, even though it's not. And it's just people are mad because bad.
And to their credit, they usually always deliver a quality product. It's not something that's broken on release. It's not missing 50% of the details.
Oh god, yeah, no. What if this comes out and it's like, Jedi Survivor or Cyberpunk, and it's just like fully non-functional the first like 3 days of release?
Yeah, like because we know for sure that it's going to release like almost entirely playable with almost all the features there. The only thing that might be missing is multiplayer, but hopefully we'll have that. And there'll probably be one DLC later on that's very much worth the $20 for it. So, just to shout out to another game I've really been enjoying, just as an example, Starship Troopers Extermination. That game released with like only 30% done. And even though it's a good game, it's only 30% to the finished product. But we know From Software will produce at least 90% finished product with Armored Core.
Yeah.
They're probably going to have DLC. But I'm sure they'll have some kind of PvP 100% on release. They've already kind of mentioned it. And just like all the Souls games, including, Elden Ring, they had, you could still PvP, and then they released the Coliseum thing, right? And it's possible that they could just have a really basic arena or something, and then later have some kind of DLC that really fleshes out a lot more PvP stuff. Especially FromSoft might listen to the JP community, and if there's a lot of guys in the JP community that are die-hard multiplayer guys, even more so than all the rest of the world combined, because there's way more people active on their own servers for PvP than over here.
Yeah, so
And
for Westerns like us, we don't even know what's going on over there for the most part.
well, some of us got the Japanese copies on the PS3, and we hop in to play with them.
But, I think that's you want full lobbies. That's the way you get to go for sure.
Yeah, I think they're gonna have a combined server this time too. So there's not gonna be separate lobby. It's just you're gonna be soft locked to your region unless the
Do you
community
think
dies
that
down.
I'm sorry, I was switching over you, but do you think
Good.
that they're going to have cross-platform for that?
I have no idea if they're gonna have cross-platform. I don't know if FromSoft's ever done cross-platform on anything before. Have they?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I
Plus,
think the hardest piece on that one is really the PC community and not making sure that making sure the modders don't screw up the multiplayer.
Yeah, no, that's a big thing. You usually gotta contain PC guys to PC guys. They usually got more players anyway, so they usually got a pretty big
That's
community. So it's always just the Xbox and PC thing, unless you're talking about Minecraft, and it doesn't matter because you're not going to get people hacking to dominate in Minecraft. You know, although actually, I'm sure there probably are some people.
Yeah, there's some pretty crazy people out there. Yeah.
Imagine being a ping for a hacking tool in Minecraft so you could dominate.
Yeah, that
Hey, Minecraft is surprisingly big.
you get that hyper competitive Minecraft hacker. Yeah.
Yeah. No, don't get me wrong. Minecraft's badass, but I mean, like, I just can't picture
Right.
what goes through someone's mind to possess them, to pay for a program to hack and be good at Minecraft.
I don't know, but I'm sure it's happened. I'm sure.
At least mods for it, but yeah.
Oh, Minecraft mods are dope. I remember like 15 years ago downloading some mod. It was like Call of Duty Nazi Zombies, but Minecraft.
In my God, like right when Minecraft first released, or probably within that first year, my friend and I downloaded it and had a couple of the mods going, but we built this like massive factory and oil refinery, and then somewhere in there we forgot to plug in some water to cool the tanks, and I still don't know where to this point, but it blew up in this just epically big crater. And it was just like 20 hours of work just down the drain all at once.
Incredible.
It was pretty epic though. It was worth it for sure.
Yeah. I remember way a long time ago when they had like the creative servers on the internet. I mean, they do now, but I don't know how to describe it. But like years and years ago when it was still in beta, and me and some of my local friends, they all talked me into joining them to go play this game of Minecraft, and everyone had like an Akatsuki skin on it. It was like 7 of us, and we all spawned in this world, and then a couple of the guys just started immediately griefing on this massive creative server, and so we all just joined in. And I feel bad because I know we destroyed a lot of stuff that people probably spent weeks on, but it was so much fun. Like there's no attacking, but we're like digging people into holes and stuff, and it was just funny because we all showed up in the Akatsuki skins, you know, and we're like, now this server shall know pain.
God.
What game are we talking about again?
Minecraft, dude.
I know that, but
We're talking about
children's
genocide
block building
in
game.
Minecraft.
Oh man. Okay. Well, that got off on a tangent.
No, I know. See, I told you we'd be tangenting.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I
didn't think it'd
fully
be
expected.
outside of Armored Core though.
Oh,
yeah,
dude,
I
just
didn't know
laugh
that we'd
at
roll into Minecraft. I expected a few things, but that was not one of them.
Armored Core in Minecraft.
Oh no, that'll be the
Hey,
new
wait.
mod.
Somebody make this. Hold on.
10 million in Minecraft.
Ooh, while I was thinking about it, I was looking at like Formula Front stuff the other day, right? Because I really liked the aesthetic of Formula Front. I don't know, but that'd be a really cool PvP with an asterisk, I guess. Option would be to be able to take your UNACs or whatever they're going to call them, assuming they even have them in this one, and train up your AI and have a like dedicated PvP AI arena. I would love to see that.
I would love to see that. I would love to see that. I know we had UNAC free battles in Verdict Day,
Mhm.
you know, and that carried us through some dark times when there was like hardly anyone online back in the day, you know, bringing.
Oh yeah, you have like 2 or 3 actual people, and then just a bunch of UNACs.
Yeah, you know, and that's where we really developed the UNACs because they were a bigger part of the team, you know. So like, there's a few of us that have some really OP UNACs, you know, which is why I really want to go in and start modding the story just so to give you that real Armored Core tough fight vibe, you know. But I would love to see UNACs return.
So that they say desperation breeds innovation. So you have to build good UNACs because there's just no players.
Yeah, you really did. You know,
Yeah, that's how it was on Xbox for sure. It's just me and myself and my
I
units.
feel bad for you guys on Xbox. There's like 3 of you.
Yeah, there's really nobody. Though
Yeah,
I will
it's
say that's when I learned that the skills of I'm pretty good at this game in single player do not carry over to multiplayer.
Oh
no
no.
way. Not in any Armored Core, but
Nope.
particularly 5, especially back in the day where no one knew how to play the game, which is why I made all those tutorials to help people figure
Yeah,
out the
yeah.
tricks going forward. But so like you get these people going into PvP with like 2 Gatling guns and they're not glide boosting, they're never using scan mode. So they're just basically walking around, getting curb stomped by everyone flying at like 4 answer speeds.
I tried to use the tetrapod sniper cannon build in that. I knew it wasn't going to go well,
Oh, that's a struggle.
and I know I hurt somebody at least, but it was probably only like 10,000 AP or something.
Oh, you got one shot?
Uh,
You landed one shot on someone?
no, I landed 2 or 3, but it was like at the max distance, so the damage starts falling off rapidly.
Sniping is actually really fun in 5th gen because you get the little scope, the little hard scope on there.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's almost like you're doing some Call of Duty camping sniping.
And you can kind of quick scope too, but you got to like really predict where they're at and then like just whip it out and automatically shoot.
Yeah,
I
why don't they
always-
give you what is it, the weapon arms, I think, that just don't scope at all for some reason.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
sniper cannon weapon
They're
arms.
still free fired, but they just don't scope.
Oh, I was fighting a guy in JP the other day that was using those on a lightweight. He was so cracked, dude. And he'd like shoot me as I'm coming around a corner, and nail me.
Oof.
We had matches. I piled him a couple times and he pulled out like heat cannon weapon arms. He was like just using weapon arms, but he was so cracked, dude. That's JP players for you though. They
That's true.
they're
That's
just
true.
they're just built different, dude.
That's with every single game. That is not even Armored Core exclusive.
Oh, what's the Koreans on like what?
Oh god.
I forget that little top-down game, StarCraft, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
StarCraft
exactly.
And League of Legends,
like League
right?
of Legends. Yep, wasn't that for a while?
Single-handedly inventing the competitive space.
It's truth. Dominate it so hard. Well, I mean, I guess that's what you can do when you have just like dedicated houses of like 10 players that just live and breathe, StarCraft or whatever it is. But it's a struggle.
I know. I played that game a little bit, only because like I don't know, 20 years ago I was playing like Age of Mythology and the old
never really
like
got into any
predecessor
of those.
games. I forget the name of the original one. Age of Mythology wasn't so big, but the other one was like more medieval, like European soldiers or whatever.
Yeah.
But StarCraft's like the exact same carbon copy game. It's just newer. It was a lot of fun, but I couldn't get into it. I would just get curb stomped every time I stepped into PvP on that.
Yeah, that's how it is like learning League of Legends too, until there's some sort of skill there. You just
Man, we keep talking about every game but Armored Core.
It's true. Yeah, we should probably dive back into.
I can promise you that's not going to be the last time that happens this podcast.
Oh, I know.
Well, that's what
How about
happens
you,
when they don't
Blackout?
give us any news, as we just talk about Minecraft and.
So you're like big into the lore and fanfics and all that stuff, Blackout?
So, yeah, I've the fun story there was back in 2015. I was first. That's when I first got into Armored Core, and I thought I'll make an Armored Core crossover. But back then, I had no idea what I was doing in anything. So the main character was edgy as hell. He's like, "Oh, my family's dead. I'm so sad." And it's like, I had to do so many terrible things, and I'm sad about it. And he was hanging out with the fucking Ruby world, and then that was already the terrible crossover choice. So I had to scrap that story. But then I began it again. The process, I rewrote everything. So for that story, here's the fun thing with it is when Armored Core fans find out about it, it's like, you did what? And I made it work. I crossed Armored Core with Doki Doki Literature Club.
I saw that. I haven't read through it yet, but it's quite lengthy.
Yeah, and even more insane is I actually managed to finish this story. It's 50 chapters, 400,000 words of something going on. But I was like, all right, I'm going to build the whole world up of Armored Core. I'm going to, make their world, try and make things make sense to them. And I'm going to put some time travel in there so I can involve the Doki Doki Literature Club. And it is definitely a wild ride. There's at least 3, maybe 4 major arcs of the story of events that happen, and like just looking at the tags that I have for this story, there's some serious things that are going on here.
Mhm. Yeah, it seemed like it. I've pulled it up. I've read the tags. I just haven't started it. It's just sitting on one of the tabs on my phone, but I need to.
So, just as an imagination for how insane I get, I'll just read the very first paragraph of the story.
Yeah.
Hard to explain did not begin to accurately describe his current situation. Hard to explain was best used for situations involving embarrassing deaths through sexual misadventure, not the centuries-long displacement currently being experienced. And everything just, goes on from there. But it has definitely been one of the most fun projects I've ever worked on, was writing that story to completion. And I had lots of inspiration. So most of it is taking place in 4-answer. So all the characters for the Armored Core side are 4-answer characters. But there's a couple of other gen characters that come up. I don't want to spoil it too much for any potential readers. But it takes place across the whole first 12 games, I think, because Verdict Day and 5.
Because it'd be minus the
13 games, I think it would be 13 games, because it's 15 games minus from Formula. But so I combine the timelines, even though I very specifically know that they don't take place in the same timeline, just to give myself more, material to work with to make up this insane plot where, so far in the future, things get a little crazy. There is 4 AI rebellions. There's been 3 great destructions, and they just keep going.
They do. That's what AC
the world is insane, but they keep going. They keep repeating the same mistakes. They just keep upping the ante each time they do it. And of course, my main character, he was a lot of fun. As I rewrote him from the sad, edgy, my family died, to very much more of a Terminator almost. So he was built by the League to do their dirty work, and he just kind of goes on until he gets the chance to rebel with Orca, and he's like, all right, I guess I'll kill people.
So you co-wrote AC6 is what you're saying, where you're, built as a machine of war and under control until you finally get a chance to rebel against your masters.
Yeah, I have fun plans for Armored Core 6. So
I bet. It does seem like it's going to have a little bit more detailed and fleshed out of a story and lore compared to some of the other ones, which is great.
I think part of that problem is just the technical limitations, because even from the very first game, there's clearly they had aspirations to tell this massively complex story, and you can tell that through just a lot of the descriptions and the mission types that you're involved with. But they are just so limited with the resources they had, and it's not really till 5th gen that you start to see at least some of their ideas. One of the things that I took inspiration from 5th gen was the shanty towns that are existing in the shadow of some of the megastructures. So it's like the implication that there is hundreds, maybe thousands of people living in literal trash right next to a megastructure. Like, this is some very dystopian kind of stuff, and we never saw this up until this point because of the technical limitations of the game. So that's a lot of the inspiration, is seeing just the minor details, and that's why I'm so excited for Armored Core 6, is because Rubicon is so built up. There are cities built upon cities and layers upon layers of megastructures and mega industries.
I think you're going to get all kinds of good, juicy lore to pull from on that one.
And we even got the tweet the other day about the coral junkies.
I love that part.
It's literally the element that blew up the sun, and they're like, I'm going to inject it directly into my brain.
The coral's calling the shots now, Randy.
What is it? You gotta take Rubicon's blessings raw.
Yeah, like
So,
so I'm going to have that now in my story that I'm going to write. Is coral junkies is something the characters are going to experience seeing and having possibly to deal with, depending on how Armored Core 6 goes.
Mm-hmm.
But I am super excited for just the levels of complexity I'll be able to pull with that. And of course, I'm pulling from multiple sources for a lot of the backstories. So one of the sources I like to build up from as a backstory because it is also a very future tech environment is the Expanse. It's this really hard sci-fi TV show and book series where hundreds of years in the future, people are living out in deep space. And even though they don't have armored cores, they definitely have a lot of advanced technology, and they're dealing with a lot of the repercussions of a society separated by light minutes. And I'm using a lot of tech, a lot of their lore, even their language to build up the backstory for this world. So
Gotcha.
I'm really super excited to make the Armored Core 6 based story, as it will have a major lore going on in the background, and we're all just seeing the culmination of these events and what impact it's had on the characters.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I definitely look forward to reading that one. Kind of as a related note too, I was thinking. So I think Elden Ring. I know I even hesitate to say the word on the podcast unless people jump into the comments. But the base game for Elden Ring I think was 45 gigs, right in that area, and Armored Core 6 is 65.
ooh, nice.
So
I
it's
think
go ahead.
I think a lot of that is just like I was telling you, the megastructure industry that we see in that planet. It's kilometers and kilometers of towers and valleys and all these artificial megastructure cityscapes that we'll be able to play through. Because I know the Elden Ring map was massive. It was ridiculously massive. Yeah, it took hours to cross, basically. So I know even though Armored Core 6 is going to be mission based, we're still going to have probably some pretty long missions, probably a lot more enemy types. I'm also really excited for what I call the sapient AI. So the giant worm, the giant crab Roomba thing that attacks that in the end of the one video.
It's funny, there were already so many Dune comparisons, and then they're just like, you know what, sandworm.
Yeah, robot sandworm.
Hey, unless their file size is because they have half of Armored Core 5 and 4 answers still hidden in the files. When we've been digging through Armored Core Verdict Day, we found tons of 4 answer useless files, and even there's a video in there from Dark Souls 2. There's a cutscene from Dark Souls 2 in there.
That's hilarious. Well, that's kind of classic game development, right? Too, is once it functions, you leave it, because even if you take out, the cutscene that exists in the files that nobody sees, the game just breaks. So you end up with all of these weird, useless files floating around.
Such lazy programming, and everything is named so jumbled and easy to mix up. They were just so lazy. There's actually copied files that have the little 2 in the hyphens in there, all over. It's so lazy.
It's like that legend from T-Fortress 2, and I think it was confirmed false, but supposedly the game was reliant on an image of a coconut. You took out the coconut, and the game would no longer function.
That just sounds like Team Fortress.
It kind of does, though, right? No, that'll be the secret, is just to mess with the modding community. All of AC6 will just be reliant on a hidden 9-ball logo somewhere.
Or just all Dark Souls files, just to mess with it.
Turns out it actually is just Dark Souls.
Yeah, you just find the executable for the entirety of the Dark Souls series just in the background of Armored Core 6.
Yeah, all the AC model files are named torrent something. But
No, it's in your garage. That's the expansion slot. As it doesn't go on your AC, it's just an emulated Dark Souls game to play for fun between missions.
yeah, back to the story of AC6. So I'm really excited because From Software seems to be just knocking it out of the park the last several years with their storytelling and like hiring what was it like George R.R. Martin or something to help
Yeah,
write.
They hired him. They hired him for Elden Ring, I think.
Yeah, for Elden Ring, for all the like lore and background of it.
So that seems to be their strategy. It's like From is really good at creating the setting, and they kind of know what they want to tell, but they weren't good at like telling it back in the day. So they started hiring writers, a critically acclaimed writers to connect the dots and create all the characters and all their connections and everything. So I'm hoping that we see that follow into AC6, and I hope they hire someone good to help them tell a badass, memorable story, because I'm sure AC6 is going to have the best story of any Armored Core we've ever had, because what V and 5 kind of were a little lackluster in the storytelling, but it was more told in FromSoft's way through the gameplay and what goes on,
Right.
so much as opposed to like words themselves. But with like that kind of fits with how they do Elden Ring, where you get little tidbits of speech here and there, and you really got to connect the dots yourself, but like once you do, it's like, oh shit, I know what's going on, and it's really cool to get into because it's so deep.
Yeah, it is. And that's what it's sort of maybe tangentially related to that process. What is it? Studio Orange, I think, that made Trigun, Stampede, the new one. They actually had it's like 2 or 3 years pre-production where they brought in a sci-fi writer to write this entire like world building like backlog of info before they had even made a lot of concept art for the game. He had thousands of pages of like world building, and then they actually built like the storyline after that.
That's cool, man.
Right?
I think that's probably why they went to Rubicon. They wanted to make an entire new world and then fill it with everything of their own. So you have no preconceptions of anything from Earth. It's just they're going to build this world from scratch, and they're going to fill it with whatever crazy stuff that we're going to see along the way.
Yeah, I think if you're going to split it from the main, not the main games, but from the rest of the storyline of AC, I think A New Planet is a good move to go on that one.
Well, they had a whole bunch like on Mars or whatever, right?
Yeah, there
Back
were
in the
some
day,
on
Silent
Mars.
Line.
I think at least one on Mars. Seventh Line was. The rest were still on Earth for the most part, though.
Yeah, I think A New World kind of fits with how they've been going the last several years, where they keep making this like fantasy-based environment that has no connection to the real world, only inspiration, because I feel like they like to give themselves as much creative freedom as possible, it seems like.
Yeah, and breaking away from Earth allows for that creative freedom, and you could, do like gravity changes in some levels, or who knows what kind of stuff we'll get.
Well, a lot of that too, I think, is all you see in the background, because in all the old games, the most interesting was Skybox. Was, I think, probably some of the Wasteland missions in 5, where you got to see like a couple of giant sandstorms. That was about it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas here in Rubicon, it's almost like the sky is on fire. For the lore that I'm putting into my story, it'll be almost a plot point, but it's like when the sun exploded, more or less, it dropped a whole bunch of metals, and so there's actually gold in the atmosphere. And that's why it's so shiny, the clouds. It's like they're actually filled with metal.
That's super interesting. It's interesting too, because we get the sky's essentially on fire. There's a ton of like burning everything, but then we have what is it, like the ice fortress or citadel or whatever, the Great Ice Field. I can't remember what they call it in that interview, but it's the one they're talking about how you're on, like the mission that we see is like a catapult to launch you over into like the launch across like the Great Ice Field or something to that effect.
They're setting it up for all his iconic environmental hazards. We're gonna get
we're gonna get radiation fields and
burning
ice.
environment, instead of a poison swamp.
Well, it's usually when they do Armored Core, it's some kind of radiation for
Yeah.
damage. I think damage or heat type. I think actually no. Jay, he did heat type damage when at the very end of Verdict Day.
Yeah,
Because even though
Heat.
it's the Kojima particle damage, and you can't block it with any defense, so it ignored defenses just like a kick or something.
I get that, and that is probably the lore, but in my lore that I think of in my headcanon, it's heat because he melted a helicopter that was just kind of next to him, if you remember in the shot.
I feel like there's a lot of like radiation produces heat as a thing, so you
True,
could
yeah.
pull in
So
both.
Well, heat's energy in a particle,
Yeah.
right? So it
Right.
technically is.
could go
But-
either way. But yeah,
Fun fact: when you use ultimate weapons in V and 5, you actually start inflicting Kojima particle damage to yourself too.
Mm-hmm.
right. Because a lot of the 5 and Verdict Day, they are taking place hundreds of years after 4 Answer. So yeah.
So, since we're on the topic of weapons, what is it that you guys want to see return? I was polling my not polling, I guess, but just asking around the YouTube audience. The most popular ones that I've seen seem to be Exceed Orbits, which is definitely one that gets my vote.
Yeah, that's a cool one.
Right.
That's
And I think
always
anybody
interesting.
who's only played 4th and 5th gen probably doesn't even know what these are. But there's 2 types of orbits. There's Exceed Orbits, which are in your core, and this little hovering gun that like pops out and fires at stuff. And it's like machine guns or like more stronger, slower paced plasma blasts or whatnot. And then there's actual separate orbits, which are my favorite, that launch out sort of like funnels in Gundam or gun bits. They launch out and kind of encircle the enemy and start pecking at them with little laser fire. So love those. Weapon arms, definitely a huge weapon arm fan, though maybe not as much as that Japanese guy that you were playing against. Dual blades, of course, seem to be really, really popular. We have no idea if we're getting them because we know they've said like left arm only, so maybe they'll give us some dual blade like weapon arms.
Yeah,
really sure
I,
on
Yeah,
that
that's
one.
gonna
hope
be
so.
that's gonna be a hard one to figure out.
I know. I'm curious on that one.
Although
Everybody
I
wants.
think
Go ahead.
I think on that one in the trailer there was somebody who had some kind of plasma lance on the right arm. So maybe right arm laser weapon or melee weapons, they're going to be not your standard laser blade, but there's like some kind of specialized melee attack.
Hey, that would make sense actually. You get a more powerful melee on your right arm, but you
Yeah,
got to
'cause-
sacrifice a gun.
Because it looks like it was mounted on the right arm, but also the right back.
Yeah, he's got a big like back unit too, so that'd be an interesting way to go. Would be cool to give the dedicated melee people some big chunky weapons to play with.
Yeah, I hope so, man. I want to see pile driver arms.
They're just not even arms; it's just a pile driver strapped to your shoulder.
Just
so
right in the chest, bro. Just
Oh yeah, there you go.
chest mount pile
It's
driver.
one of the extensions is a chest pile.
Pile core.
That'd be dope.
No, it's in your feet. So some of the legs, when you kick them, it just pile drives them.
There's actually a precedent for that because the tetrapod types, they usually have an anchor that they would fire, at least in 5
Oh
and Verdict
yeah,
Day.
we haven't seen the tetrapod. That would be awesome. So you have an anchor for your like back cannons, but if you melee attack or if you kick them, it just piles them with your anchor. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Oh man, on the tetrapods, I remember someone way back in the day saying that they wished in 5 like tetrapods could like latch onto a wall and go into ready mode on a wall.
Oh,
Oh yeah, that'd
That'd
be
be
cool too.
cool, dude.
Certainly possible. The technology is there. They haven't given us anything tetrapod. Like we see them hovering, and we definitely
Yeah, we
get
saw
that
him float
ability.
and shoot, and that was about it. We saw him like jump up, right, and like boost
Yeah,
up.
yeah, he jumps up and kind of floats, which definitely I'm here for. I'm here for the more aerial based, like hover-esque
I'm looking
floating.
at a screenshot, and I think he does have some anchors on that, but it's hard to tell. I think there are anchors for static tetrapod.
Very nice.
I
I'll have to
don't
go
know.
check that one out.
We don't even know if ready mode weapons are returning.
We don't. It's a weirdly, I mean, I guess it's not weirdly popular take, but it's definitely something that a lot of people have talked about is, ready mode, like really heavy, crouch fire weapons. I do hope they bring them back, and that was one of the big differentiating factors for tetrapods and tanks is being able to just free fire those things.
Well,
that
the tetrapod couldn't free fire in 5, but it had a rate of fire buff.
So
had
it was specialized for it.
Yeah, rate of
so you
fire
could
buff for
shoot.
them, and then in 4 you could
Yeah.
fire them if you were on the ground, kind of thing. Or not 4, I think it was, what was it, 3? God, it's been so long since I've played the older gen games.
Yeah, I
But
need to
those
go
were
back myself.
But those were weapons that were carried in the hand, so it's almost like a back weapon for your hands.
Yeah, no, it was
That's
it was pre-5 before it was only hand weapons, but you could fire your back-mounted cannons as long as you're on the ground, while moving without having to stop,
right.
which was nice. But back cannons seem to be a really popular choice. So there's really heavy crouching cannons, back thrusters. So you're sort of Pegasus style boosters. I'm definitely here for. So you can just put
Yeah,
some
that's what I
melees
want.
on or something, and then I hope that they are implemented a little bit better. Somebody did the math on, I think it was the Pegasus actually, that it actually only helped 2 boosters because they weighed so much that they would slow you down more than they would boost your movement.
Oh,
So
man.
it's a
Yeah,
total
I
trap.
remember that. Yeah.
Minus and then they capped your boost speed and output. So there's only 2 boosters that it even helped, and even then it was just barely. It wasn't worth using them at all, but they're very
it's just a
aesthetically pleasing.
FromSoft troll.
Right.
Yeah.
Sniper cannons seems to be a popular one, and I think that's shared with you, Blackout. People want
yeah.
snipers, and they want the zooming snipers. They don't want just your AC4 sniper rifle. They want that scoped super long distance.
You
Yeah,
would think that they would definitely do that here because of the distances involved.
Yeah, I feel like there's. I mean, I guess we haven't seen many of the maps, but I would expect there's room for it, and the levels seem to be so intricate that it wouldn't be too OP. If it's just a wide open field, there's probably stuff to hide behind.
Yeah, sometimes we just need stuff because it's cool.
It's true. It's true. I mean, that's half the fight, right? It's
Yeah.
yeah. Your emblem has to look cool. You have to have a stylish paint job. Then if you win, it doesn't really matter because you already won. Fashion core.
That's what they keep telling themselves.
Exactly. I won the moment this match started, and it revealed my AC. I won. Physical blades seem to be a popular one too. I'm here for that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Sort of maybe expect we'll get
absolutely.
them. We haven't seen them, but
I'm not sure where I saw it, but I could have sworn I saw a screenshot that had an axe. So maybe it's different kind physical blades.
I have been
Like the physical blade
absolutely
arms
hoping
were
for an
like
axe. So
axes.
if you see that, send it my direction.
Yeah, I have to look at it again, but that whole list is an exciting prospect because it's all the old types of gameplay styles that everyone loves. Having drone types from the orbital weapons, having the arm weapons to be able to just you don't bring weapons, you are the weapon.
That's right.
A couple of them we know are getting back. Definitely the back mounted weapons. There's been several screenshots, several video where we've seen cannons. I've seen the on the Steam page. They brought the 3-barrel laser cannon from Armored Core 4 answer back.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, we definitely know we're getting the back mounted cannons. That people, I think, want the crouch fired kind of thing to return for bipedal legs and things like that. But they want, what is it in 4 answer? It's the Ogami, I think it's called. That's just a double mounted.
Oh no, you're talking the double mounted, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just this massive cannon. It can actually, I've got a video floating around somewhere. It can one-shot Fragile if you get his primal armor off, so you can shoot him once to drop his primal armor, and then once again, and it does 23,000 damage to him and just obliterates him.
What's the other one that the double mount cannon does? It can kill the Great Wall from outside. You just have to clip the barrel into the side.
People cheesing the game.
I hope Ultimate Weapons return.
I think we might get something akin to it. I think they haven't
will.
legitimately said you are not getting this, but I think they said it doesn't fit.
They showed that that spherical rocket.
We do,
yeah,
that spherical rocket's interesting.
That might be an ultimate weapon.
it would be interesting if you could do like platform build. I think that would be that would fall under. So it's like instead of you bringing an AC for mobility, you're bringing a whole weapons platform that has all these weapon mounts and such. So maybe you'll lose a lot of mobility, you'll lose a lot of speed.
Kind of like how you're wearing the Vanguard overboost.
Yeah. You'll lose like 75% of your turn ability, but you can bring an entire arsenal with you. That would be fun.
Yeah, that'd definitely be interesting. A really high output firepower, but yeah, you lose, a ton of your mobility. That'd be a cool way to go. I don't know what
I'm
we'll
sure
see
we're
with
going to
that.
see some cool new stuff too that we haven't even thought of or seen
Oh,
before.
I know.
I mean, like we were saying, they had the multi-type laser weapons. So there was at one point the laser blade that looked like it was two blades spun,
Mhm.
or the the double mounts right blade that I was just talking about earlier. So yeah, could be a lot of new things that we don't even know about.
What if we get a shield that we could shoot with or something, or
It would
like
be like
melee combo we could bash with or something?
I do hope for a shield bash. I think would be great.
you would
Yeah.
think, because they had the energy shields as items or weapon slots. So maybe a physical shield with bash, maybe that could be a dual defense melee weapon.
It looked like they had a physical shield like in one of the early like footage releases too. But they already gave us shield parrying, which I'm glad to see that actually.
That
I
might
think
have
that was
been
the thing a lot of people didn't realize existed.
Well,
that might have
you
been
could-
the energy guy. I'm sorry.
You could kind of parry with melee weapons in 5 and Verdict Day, but it's actually not a game mechanic. It's actually like a byproduct of net latency.
It's not a feature. It's more of an accident.
Yeah, it's actually a bug.
What was it in? I think it was third gen when we first got the energy shields. Right when you turned them on, you could sort of deflect away some damage or something to that effect. I don't remember the details on it. Um, then it actually was a pseudo feature that wasn't net latency. Man, I hope they really put in work to working on the multiplayer latency aspect of
Mhm.
that, because that's always been a struggle.
It's always been a problem, especially with From Answer. But multiplayer games in general, you're always gonna have a little bit of something. But
Yeah.
at least now some people got Wi-Fi 6, and more people got LAN cables. Especially the PC guys are gonna have a lot more LAN cables, I think.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to avoid some of that because I'm gonna be playing Armored Core 6 at work, and that's gonna be amazing.
Don't get doxxed so your boss doesn't find out.
Right.
I mean, they kind of already know because I bring the gaming laptop over to my guard station, and I'm just there all night long, just staying awake, and I'm gonna be getting paid playing Armored Core 6.
I got a buddy who's a security guard that does that too. Because you're just sitting there. You got to be awake, and you got to every now and then do your patrol, right? So you got a lot of downtime to mess with something else.
Yeah.
Had to look into a new career path.
Well, what you really want to do is be like a coder that works from home, and you got ChatGPT writing all your code for you, and you got no one looking at what you're doing. Your
There you
computer
go.
just has to be active, and that's easy, right? You just play a game.
Yeah.
Like, wow, this guy hasn't looked away from the screen in 16 hours. He's doing overtime. Yeah.
Pay him more money. So I think sort of running out of topics, but I did want to touch on demos, right? So popular opinion has been everybody's really, really hoping for a demo, and I would love to see one, especially from a content creator standpoint. Actually, before we jump into that, so we're talking about the kind of hype of the game, right? And is their marketing good or bad? And I feel like it was sort of all right, because they revealed the 4 minutes of gameplay, and all the content creators jumped on that, and we were taking it apart, frame by frame, and figuring stuff out, which is great. I think that's a very FromSoft way to do that. But I feel like all of that hype has just kind of died, so we've got nothing new, and so Like even the like was that somebody on Reddit was posting the Google like top most anticipated games of
Oh yeah, I
2023,
saw
and
that.
Armored Core is like not even on the radar. It's just flat lined on the graph.
Yeah, but I think as we go into August, we're gonna see something else, and it's to build the hype right before the release type thing. But
Yeah.
honestly, look at it this way: anyone who was hyped before, do you think anyone that was hyped before is not gonna buy the game because they haven't seen
I mean,
another
true. Yeah,
ad?
the
I've already
people that are
bought it,
hyped for
yeah.
are like
They've
100%
already
in.
won. They have already won, and they're spending minimal on their advertising. So they're
That's an
saving money,
understatement.
and you're all gonna buy the freaking game. If you're happy waiting for the game or not, they don't care. You're
Oh, yeah,
buying the
that's
game.
true.
I've already bought it.
Yep,
So it's
yep, it's me too. You know,
oh
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. I think it's hard, and maybe for us in general, because like, as soon as they were like Armored Core 6, like all in, take my money. I haven't even seen gameplay yet. Like,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
was the same way, bro. I could not
100%.
believe we were getting another release after 10 years. I
Saying
could.
yeah,
But I'm
seeing
curious
all
from the
the new stuff, he was like, "Yeah, take my money."
oh yeah, yeah.
I actually had a friend. He was watching it live, and he just texted me, and he's like Armored Core on whatever the event was, E3 or whatever the hell it was, and like
That's how I found out
within
too.
like 30 seconds, I was watching that live and rewind, and I was like, I'm watching it right now, And he wasn't even an Core guy, but he knows that that's all I ever talked about for 15 years. So
Yeah,
So for 15 years, he's like, God, shut up about Armored
yeah,
Core.
I got a bunch of. I actually bought Armored Core Verdict Day for some of my friends back in the day, and I played with them for like a week, and then they
Oh,
all left. I felt bad.
yeah, that's how it goes. That's rough. Uh, but yeah, I think you're right. I think we will get something, especially early August. Here's hoping for the 10th and the anniversary of Armored Core 1, but I don't know if we'll actually get anything AC6 related. I can
I,
hope.
I'm sure we're only getting one more thing, and it's gonna be timed perfectly to build the hype and remind everyone that this game's about to come out. And that's it. That's all we're gonna get. Fingers crossed for multiplayer details, because they did say it's coming at a later date, like 30 freaking times. But I doubt it. I doubt it.
probably
They're not
Maybe
gonna
it'll
say
be
anything.
a 20-minute multiplayer deep dive where we find out that we have, PvP, VE, like world boss levels.
I wish that's not gonna happen though.
No,
But
feel like it's going
back
to be
to
one
the
of either two things. Is it going to be the 15 minutes first or 15 first minutes of the gameplay, or the some kind of story trailer?
well back to the demo that you're
yeah.
talking about. They're probably gonna do some kind of like beta test, network test thing. Probably,
Yes, I'm
right?
super curious because it's been a thing, with Elden Ring and a lot of the Dark Souls games to network test it at least, whether you count it as, a demo or not.
Because they haven't mentioned multiplayer, so they got to make sure it works.
God, I hope so. That's my concern, right? Is they haven't mentioned anything about it. I don't have any info on like a network test or anything, and we're coming up on crunch time, and with the track record of networking issues that multiplayer's had, there's concerns there. I think
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hope we get something like that, because it'd be nice, especially to kind of quell everyone's fears and
it
whatnot,
would,
and
even
just
if
get
it's
the
like, oh,
game
you
out
get
there.
maybe like 2 or 3 starting ACs to choose from, and just like a map, like that would be fine. Just something to like
Yeah, and
test
then they
out
don't
the
spoil any
yeah,
story. It's just PvP only or something, because they
that'd be
only want to
totally
test the
fine.
network probably, or like they give us like one mission probably.
Yeah,
Eh,
exactly.
Yeah.
The first mission.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Oh well, I'm not gonna hold my breath. It's from software after all.
Yeah, yeah, I'm
The
not gonna hold
game's
my
gonna
breath
be great,
either.
and it's probably gonna be rough for us until that game comes out. But
Oh
we're all
yeah.
gonna love it.
Oh yeah.
It certainly will. It's hard too when they first released info. Of course, I was just starting out the YouTube channel, and so I immediately gained like 750 people, like when they revealed info, and I could, actually have something to talk about.
Dang.
And then it's leveled off a lot since then. So I need like another little news bump so I can make some money. Got to hit that 1,000 mark.
You're
Oh,
making
man.
money off this?
Not yet,
No, he's not.
Man, I've lost money writing my stories.
right, like
I-
as it stands now, 100%. I've definitely like probably lost time and money. But if I can hit 1,000, then I can start making, ad revenue and stuff off YouTube.
I get you.
So I'm
I
floating
don't
at
think
like right about 800.
I don't think I'm ever gonna get there. My main goal of my channel, one, is to show how I make my emblems and whatnot. That was my first initial reason for doing it, but then it kind of
Yeah.
shifted into helping 5th gen be more accessible to people and show what you can do so that more people enjoy it, and hopefully,
Yeah,
we
certainly.
get some player base.
Yeah, and I never like went into it like I'm gonna make a ton of money off Armored Core.
No.
It's just kind of a nice side effect, right? If I can, manage to hit that followers base.
No, I gotcha. Like mine, I had no intention of making a YouTube or anything, but I was posting like the emblems that I was making on 5th gen on the
Mhm.
Armored Core Reddit or whatever, and I kept getting people saying, "Do you have a YouTube? Like, you should make a YouTube. Show us how to make this or whatnot." And so I just started recording it before I even created the YouTube, just in case. So I was recording like while I was making it, and then
Oh, nice.
eventually I found a video editor, and like my videos, they're not, they're a little rough just because I was learning, but they're a lot more quality now. But then I just started uploading it, and I got a few people following me, so it feels good to know that people are looking forward to see stuff I make. That feels cool.
Yeah, no, you've got some
But
great stuff, and it's one of the few more emblem dedicated channels that aren't anime girl faces.
oh right, yeah, no.
Yeah.
I always get people that are trying to like get me to do commissions or whatever, and like I don't want people to pay me to make anything. As well as I was even just doing them as favors to like my friends to make some stuff, and like if it's not something that I'm interested in making, it takes me forever, and the quality's not so good, so I stopped doing that, and I just make whatever I want to do because I enjoy making stuff that looks cool, and I like putting out there so people can see me, make it. And I'm not like I'll make some anime scenes, but like I'm not like, oh yeah, I just only make anime or whatever. Because honestly, making anime with the emblem creator is kind of easy. It's not so much detail or
That's fair
shading or
compared to
anything.
some of the
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
But I like making the more complex stuff. It's more satisfying to me to see something like that made with the crappy emblem editor.
Yeah. For me, I'm basically in a position that I will never make money from this, and that's perfectly fine with me because I just want to tell these very interesting, detailed, deep stories that tell stories about humanity and its basic struggles and the far future, dealing with technology and morals, and and just having armored cores play that part. And as far as some of the decision making for some of the stories, the story I'm working on the in between. So right after I finish the last story, before I can even really started writing the Armored Core 6 story, one of my readers was like, can you make a story based on these two IPs, Armored Core and something else? And it's almost like a joke as far as just like the premise, but I'm giving it my full effort, and it's going to be, my kind of dramatic, overly horrific kind of writing style that I love using. For me, I get a lot of enjoyment exposing my readers to the new material. So I was saying before, all my Armored Core people who came to my story from Armored Core are like, I can't believe you crossed these two IPs that have nothing to do with each other. But the other one that was fun was the Doki Doki people. They were like, I have never heard of Armored Core before, but you've made it sound very interesting, and I want to know more.
Yeah, and that's a great way with those crossovers to pull in the other side.
So the second one I'm doing, it's been done before. I'm not going to spoil it yet, but I'm coming at it from a brand new angle. I haven't seen anyone else really do. There's like one guy, he's currently posting stuff in the same IP, but he's actually trying. Whereas I'm more of doing an elaborate shit post with an exceptional level of detail.
That's fair.
But the Armored Core 6 story, that is definitely something that you will have to look out for, and it's going to be a dramatic read for what I'm doing with the characters. And I'm really excited for the new character who I believe is the playable character of Armored Core 6, C4621. I'm going to have them defined as a raven who sold their name, who hides her pain and rage behind a number.
Okay. think that is very fitting for what little lore we have of AC6 so far.
Yeah. So I'm excited to tell her story and how she fits into the story I've told before and the characters that she'll meet along the way.
I'm here for it. We'll do. I'm curious if Walter ends up being, the bad guy. I feel like it's the obvious way to go, but I'd
I
be
hope.
curious to explore that from his end if they don't, about how he became the way that he is. I have no idea. We we don't know enough of the lore yet.
I hope.
Yeah,
Walter-
I don't know if Walter is a character or a corporation.
I hope
know.
he's the drug kingpin slanging Coral.
Oh yeah, okay.
He is. He's holding all the leashes. He's the one who has, access to get and hand out the coral.
Gotta take Rubicon's lessons raw.
That is going to be just the meme forever. There's no way they didn't know what they did going into that.
Oh well, FromSoft, in some of the older Armored Cores, like Armored Core 5, they have the English speaker that translates stuff, for their English adaptation of like Verdict Day. And you got a map called Fat Rocks. You got another map called Big D Tunnel. I think they got a couple other stuff like that, and it's like where with the Japanese, when they're reviewing it, probably won't pick up on any of those innuendos.
Yeah.
So like they knew what they were doing.
Oh, that's awesome. It's gonna be a little bit in there, right? It's like Monster Hunter. You get a semi-serious game, and then you throw in, like a giant tuna as a weapon, or like a corn cob or something like.
Well, all the Doom references they've been making from the very beginning. We already have the sandworm. We already have the spice melange as Coral. What's next?
That's the question. This thing's got it's got a lot of Doom crossover.
With wacky weapons like that, Elden Ring's got like the big finger you flick people with, right? What if we had a melee weapon that's like a club, but it's like a ripped off arm of some other mech?
We've already,
or like a whole leg.
We've already kind of had the meme weapon. The I forget what it's called. It's the Mass Blade from Armored Core 5. This is it's just a pillar with rockets on it.
Oh yeah, you just hit someone with a bridge.
Yeah.
We had that. We had, previous generations, we had the fingers, which is just a hand that shoots bullets out of each finger.
Oh, the glove, yeah.
Yep.
I forget what
so
that's called.
It's possible. I think just a leg of, one of your enemies would be hilarious.
I told my brother-in-law about the Rubicon line. He was just like, I don't want to take anyone's blessings raw.
Well, you have to. It's the only way to complete the game.
I'm making you do it now.
Should we wrap it up? Do outros?
Yeah, I think so. I think we've run long enough and kind of run out of things to talk about. So yeah, thank you so much for being on, both of you guys. And is there anything that you didn't, talk about at the beginning that you want to shout out?
No, I think we covered everything. But be sure to check out my channel, Bottleofrumster, on YouTube. By the time you're seeing this video, I should have a video out, a compilation of some of our modded PvP maps with world bosses, so you can see some of what it's like to be fighting everyone and Motherworld or live at the same time. So stop by, check that out. Check it out if you like watching emblems be made, or like PvP, or if you just want to hang out.
Yeah. What about you, Blackout?
If anyone's interested in reading one of the more insane but very intriguing stories that's ever been written, you can find me on either fanfiction.net or AO3 under Blackout 42 or Blackout_42. The story of that one, that insane Armored Core Doki Doki story, is called Obligation to Keep, and I believe Ren did say he will post the links to that.
Yep.
And if you find me on Discord, because I'm bouncing around some of the Armored Core channels, you can always, say hi, and I'll probably respond in a couple hours.
Awesome.
So, see y'all around.
We'll see you then.
All right, Ren. Thanks for having me again.
Thank you, Ren.
Thanks for being on. So speaking of YouTube news, so I finally reached a point where I can actually have channel memberships, which is awesome. So I'm in process of making some great little icons to go next to members' names on my channel. Some great little emojis. A lot of them are going to tie in, of course, to AC, channel memes, things like that. Still working out the bonuses on the different tiers and everything, so definitely let me know if there's something you want to see. If you are interested in being a member, what is a perk that you would love to see in the channel? Working all that out. And along with that, my original plan was to stream on Twitch, and so a lot of the older podcasts and things have that in the outro. There's links floating around for it. But I think I'm just going to focus primarily on YouTube. So we'll do the YouTube live thing. We'll focus on some channel memberships. I'll leave the Patreon page up, I think, just to direct people back to YouTube. But I think there's been too many outlets for things, so I think it'll be easier to just all in focus on YouTube for now, and we'll expand out from there. But look forward to all kinds of new content coming. And of course, if you like it, support the channel. Of course, the more support I get, the more I can focus on it, the more content that I can make, and just the better experience I can make the channel for everybody. And I like to think among most of the Armored Core communities, mine is among the most peaceful and civil. So certainly hope you enjoy that. So yeah, everything's going to be condensed down to YouTube. And like I said, I'm definitely, I'm not in it to get rich off YouTube, but certainly any support from the community helps a lot. Getting rich off my channel, never going to be a thing. I wouldn't have gotten into, Armored Core if I was jumping into it to make, bags of money. Maybe I would have played Minecraft instead.
Oh, looks like it's time to wrap things up. If you enjoyed today's broadcast, don't forget to follow, subscribe, and check out our Discord. You can find me at NoisyRen on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. And if you want to support the podcast, you can find me at patreon.com/NoisyRen. I appreciate the support. Coral is not cheap these days. As usual, the links are in the show notes. Till next time.
Connection terminated.